Welcome back to Legal Matters with the American Law Firm. I'm Mike Garrigan. My guest is attorney John Hansen with the American Law Firm. Legal Matters is an informational and news call-in show devoted to a variety of legal topics of interest to State Line viewers. We have attorneys standing by right now at the number on your screen, 394-1776. And these attorneys will provide you with free information regarding your issue. So call now and throughout the next hour. In tonight's opening statement, we're going to try something a little bit different here with John. In our two segments, we are going to take a look at some current event topics and see how they apply to our lives from a legal standpoint. But before we get started tonight, I'd like to remind our viewers of the multiple practice areas that the American Law Firm concentrates in. The American Law Firm is a general practice law firm that concentrates in divorce and family law cases, auto accident, injury and Social Security disability issues, bankruptcy, DUI traffic and criminal defense, advanced care planning and probate, real estate, and business, also immigration. So please feel free to call tonight and discuss any of these practice areas with the attorney standing by live. But first, John, why don't you tell us a little bit more about American Law Firm?
Okay, well, it's good to be here, and we are a Rockford law firm located near the intersection of Mulford and State. And like you said, we're a general practice firm, which means we cover a lot of different areas of law. And we are having attorneys standing by right now answering the phones, like you said. And one thing I like to point out is the phones are pretty busy when people call, but just keep trying to get through. We have people standing by. And if the phones keep staying busy, call after the show's over. We're still answering phones after about a half hour. And then call tomorrow if you can't get through.
Now, everyone's gone to the doctor. I just recently went to the dentist. It was quite painful. Not everyone has gone to a lawyer. It's going to be less painful than that dentist visit, isn't it? Tell us a little bit about, ease some fears of people who have never done this before.
Okay, well, I can walk you through kind of a typical visit to the law firm. We start out with free consultations where someone comes in, and we don't charge them, and they sit down and say, basically what their issues are, and we try to translate that into a series of goals. And we will then, if we accept the case, we'll usually quote a flat fee, which is different than a retainer. Flat fees are where you know up front how much a case is going to cost up to a certain point, and it helps clients budget, from the front end. And for some clients, they need a payment plan, so we'll meet them kind of halfway financially. So we start slow. We start meeting with them, see what they need, and then translate that into some work down the road.
Okay, meet particular needs. And as I mentioned, we're going to be looking at some current topics in the news and discussing how they may play a role in the viewers' lives. And we'll start with the recent stories coming out about Casey Kasem. You may recall he's the famous radio entertainer who just died the other day on the 15th of June. But there were also troubling stories about him being missing, family unaware of his location, some problems with his care. So, John, what lessons are to be learned from all that?
A lot of lessons, I think. From my research, he had advanced Alzheimer's and dementia, and there was big disagreements between some family members on what to do with his care. A certain segment wanted to stop food, water, and life support. Another segment wanted to keep him on. And that's a kind of a common issue. Celebrities making it into the headlines, but it does happen pretty frequently. And the main couple points are that there are instruments we can prepare that prevent this kind of problem from happening, usually. Like a will, a living will, which talks about whether you do or do not want to be kept on life support. Power of attorney for health care, which gives one person or a couple people final authority on making decisions. So if you do that early, then you can prevent some disagreements down the road. Secondarily, quickly, is the issue of guardianship. If you have an elderly, relative who is unable to take care of themselves, then a guardianship can be set up while they're still alive, and then someone else can be handling their affairs. So a couple main good points to learn from that tragic story.
Absolutely. We'll talk about another person in the news a lot for all the wrong reasons, and that's former New England Patriot player Aaron Hernandez. Lawyers now are filing a motion questioning the validity of a search warrant executed by police at Hernandez's home, a search that was conducted as part of the murder investigation he is facing. So what could this mean in his case? Yeah,
it's really sad what happened, but the current story right now is his defense team seems to be trying to suppress some evidence that was found in his home at some point. And I think what their suppression argument is based on is a search warrant being used inappropriately or not being used at all. And the lesson learned there is when it comes to criminal defense, which we do a lot of at our firm, and we encourage people to call right now if they have any questions about this. When it comes to that kind of argument, if an investigator did something wrong when they found some evidence, we can use that to help suppress that evidence if appropriate. And it can be an important defense tool for those kind of cases. And the larger picture is we all have rights of privacy. We all have rights of privacy in our home, in our vehicles, on our person. And so everything has limitations. Even warrants have limitations. So if anyone has any questions about something they're facing now or soon, come see us and we'll talk about what their particular story, how it plays with these rules of evidence.
Okay, our next topic is about a couple that really likes to be in the news, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. They recently ignited a debate after having their baby daughter North's ears pierced before her first birthday. So what thoughts come to mind from a legal standpoint when it comes to parenting choices, you know, that can really be criticized?
Right. Well, the Kardashians are always good for a little entertainment, of course. But, you know, the larger picture, I think, from this is parenting decisions. Take an unmarried couple, for example, who have a child. Parenting decisions are a real problem sometimes once they break up, the parents. And, you know, in terms of legal custody, physical custody, guardianship, all that stuff plays a role in parenting decisions. Also, if decisions get pretty bad, you know, worse than piercing ears, and DCFS can be involved in some bad decisions made by parents. We are, you know, in place to defend parents when they face issues like this. And we also will sometimes represent grandparents who want to help step in to help their children make parenting decisions. So piercing ears on an infant, that, you know, that's one thing, but parenting decisions need to be addressed each case.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions about these topics or any other topic, now is a great time to call. Attorneys are standing by live to answer your legal questions. The number 394-1776. Viewers should call the number right now, again, to speak with one of the American law firm attorneys to discuss their options. We'll explore more current events when we come back, which pertain to legal issues. Coming up, J-Lo and OJ. Stay with us.
Picture experience. Legal experience in many areas of law. Dedication. Giving full attention to each client and their individual legal needs. Affordability. Offering simple flat fees and payment plans. Now picture the American law firm. Call the American law firm today at 815-394-1776 for your free consultation.
Welcome back. It's Mike Garrigan and attorney John Hansen with the American law firm, continuing to talk legal matters that affect many state liners. If you want to talk to an attorney live right now from the American law firm, just call the number on your screen. We will continue to talk about some current event topics with John and how the law applies. And let's kick off the segment with a question about DUI and local law enforcement. They're cracking down on drunk drivers, and police are routinely setting up roadblocks in the area now to check for impaired drivers. What are the legal ramifications drivers need to keep in mind with this, John?
There's quite a few ramifications. DUIs are treated very seriously in Illinois. Even your first DUI can have enormous ramifications. Starting out as misdemeanors and down the road getting into felonies, and if you get far enough along, you can lose your driving privileges forever. So there's a lot of major pitfalls with DUIs. And most people's questions kind of surround, what do I do if a cop stops me, or what do I have to do if I'm pulled over in a roadblock? And specifically with the breathalyzer, I get a lot of questions. You know, should I go ahead and blow in the breathalyzer? If I've had some drinks, should I not? And the rule of thumb generally is don't blow in the breathalyzer if you're in doubt. You know, if you have any kind of doubts as to what you've been drinking or what your history has been that night, then it's probably best just to go ahead and refuse. You can refuse, although that brings along with it automatic license suspension, which can be dealt with too. So that's kind of a general approach. Every case is different, so I encourage people to call up that number on the screen. If it's busy, keep calling, because that's an important issue to get through to one of the attorneys with.
I heard be polite but say as little as possible?
Correct, yeah. You basically want to be polite, show your ID, you have to do that, give them your name, and then if that's it, you can refuse to talk further on.
All right.
Very sensitive area, so definitely call us and we'll listen to your particular circumstances.
All right, before the break, we promised a J-Lo question. Here it is. Divorced celebrity couple Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony have finalized their divorce with apparently no child support ordered for either party to pay. What issues come to mind with a story like this?
It's a bit unusual not to have child support ordered by either party, and they're very wealthy people. And generally what that means is there's been some private agreement to handle finances outside of court, where neither party wants a court order that mandates some kind of support. But in the larger picture for people at home here, the rest of us that aren't J-Lo and Anthony and people like that, child support's a big issue. There's often cases where we'll pursue an arrearage, where somebody owes a lot of child support. There's other issues where we'll go in and modify child support because the payer's got a new job that pays more. It's an ongoing issue that we deal with a lot, so we encourage people to contact us and see what their situation is.
Exactly, fitting the particular need, and that's why it's important to make those calls, that live call with attorneys standing by right now. It's been 20 years since O.J. Simpson became a household name, not necessarily for his football career, but for being acquitted in a high-profile murder trial. He was charged with a subsequent crime in 2007. He's still serving that sentence, a 33-year sentence. What stands out to you about that trial from 20 years ago, and what would you like to talk about that?
Well, it's a lot stands out to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't really the reason I went to law school or anything like that, but I followed it along with everybody else. The big lesson learned in that trial was about evidence, kind of like the Aaron Hernandez situation. Suppression of evidence, the use of evidence, hugely important in both cases, especially with O.J., because as Cochran said famously, if it doesn't fit, you got to acquit. Yeah, and it was all about this glove that didn't really fit in his hand, which they found at the scene. So criminal defense cases are very crucial, and there's so much we have to look at as far as how the police and the investigators operated. And so that's a big lesson to learn. But also, interestingly, is the family of the victims. They sued him after the whole criminal trial was over, and they won that case. And he was actually ordered to pay $33.5 million as a judgment against the family. So kind of a weird twist at the end of that.
And that burden of proof in a civil trial is not the same as it is in a criminal trial.
No, it's a little bit different.
Okay. Well, we have time for one more question. A recent economic report stated that applications for U.S. unemployment benefits fell to 312,000 last week. That's near pre-recession levels. However, bankruptcy filings are on the rise. For some of the viewers out there facing unemployment or financial issues, what thoughts can you share on these points?
Yeah, it's still turbulent economic times, I would say. Things are getting better, but the bankruptcies are increasing. And individuals who want to file bankruptcy generally will come in with a Chapter 7 situation, which is a one-time wiping out of debts. Other camp of people will come in and need a bankruptcy where they pay their debts, but it's through a bankruptcy payment plan. That's called a Chapter 13. Most commonly, a Chapter 13 is used if someone's in foreclosure. They want to save their house, they want to save their debt, and they need to have a payment plan set up that they can afford. So bankruptcy is a big topic, and we definitely have a active bankruptcy department that helps people out right now.
Okay, we appreciate your time on this, and it's kind of fun to go through some current events.
Yeah, it is.
Once again, lawyers from American Law Firm are standing by right now to take your calls. We'll be back with a closing statement. Call right now, 394-1776.
Our country was founded on a Bill of Rights which set a bold standard for the protection of individual rights, a standard set for the rest of the world to follow. At the American Law Firm, you also have a Bill of Rights as a client. By offering free consultations, simple flat fees, and payment plans to our clients, we deliver effective legal solutions to your problems and goals. Call the American Law Firm at 815-394-1776 to learn more about how we represent our clients and how we can protect you.